everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video review and continuing the tribute to the late great Chuck Norris. I thought we'd take a look back at some of his movies, and in this edition we'll look back at the explosive actioner titled Invasion USA. Released back in September the 27th, 1985, it of course has Chuck Norris in the lead role, starring alongside Richard Lynch, Melissa Prophet and Eddie Jones. It was directed by Joseph Zito. Now, the story begins when we see a boat full of Cuban refugees on their way to American shores who are attacked and killed by a boat full of Latin America guerrilla soldiers who are disguised as US Coast Guards. Led by the vicious Soviet operative named Mikhail Roslov, they arrive in southern Florida and proceed to commit multiple terrorist attacks all over the city, killing various political figures and also innocent civilians within refugee communities. Their actions generate mainstream panic and riots within the streets. Continually struggling to contain the threats, the police turn to ex-CIA agent Matt Hunter for help, but he initially refuses. The leader Roslov is absolutely obsessed with revenge against Hunter, who earlier stopped him from carrying out a previous assassination. Roslov leads an assault on Hunter's home, not killing him but his close friend instead. Now himself driven by revenge, Hunter will go all out to eliminate Roslov and his organisation, no matter what it takes. Now, without question, Invasion USA is an unashamedly outlandish, over-the-top piece of 80s action adventure. It's absolutely chock full of action set pieces, testosterone, excessive comic book violence, the badass loner hero, we have the crazy psychotic villain, the straightforward narrative of good versus evil, and all of these elements that inspired a whole generation of movie fans like myself. Still today, a movie genre that remains one of the most impressionable, impactful within all of entertainment. And when we look at all of those elements, Invasion USA is absolutely glorious. It knows exactly what it is and what it wants to do, and it doesn't try to be anything else. Yes, it can be silly, it can be implausible, but again, when you have a movie who knows its tone and exactly what it wants to do, you can, to an extent, excuse these type of flaws. Now, yes, we could say that there is a certain undercurrent of themes regarding media propaganda, counter-terrorism and political ideology, but these themes are only here in the broad stakes, and that's absolutely the right way when concerning a story, and it doesn't get too bogged down by these more serious elements. The focus is strictly on heroism, revenge, crime and action, and that works for the most part for just sheer entertainment value. Now, coming in this era of the 80s, the likes of Invasion USA will carry plenty of violence, and this film absolutely pulls no punches with an absolute insane body count where we see multiple victims killed in massive explosions, and the violence itself can be quite sharp and brutal and very uncompromising, which adds both an edge and tension. Now, another key component here is the villain himself. Roslov, who is played by Richard Lynch, conveys an imposing and at times cold and calculating figure, but later on throughout the film we see him being far more unhinged and crazy and psychotic, and this gives the movie a presence that it badly needs and once more adds to the overall suspense and tension. Now, as for Chuck Norris, he is simply Chuck Norris. If you watch his films by now, you know that he succeeded for being much more of that minimalistic presence. We won't see any extraordinary feats of acting here. He has a very limited range, and he is best served when he keeps that range limited, and he basically does all of the action hero stuff concerning all of the Karate Kids and martial arts and handling all of the weapons. And Invasion USA might be, after Missing in Action, probably the most 80s action embodiment of a one-man army that we've seen Chuck Norris in. It may not be amongst his absolute top tier movies, but it certainly is the actor at his most iconic in terms of this phase of his career, and he was enjoying a good run of successful hits that weren't by no means necessarily massive global blockbusters, but they were always profitable. 3, 2, 1, considering the limited budgets that they were fueled by, and this continued the consistent relationship that he had with the very infamous Cannon Group throughout the 1980s. And Chuck Norris, as I said before, is simply iconic, and if you notice, he actually has the lesser scenes in terms of dialogue and involvement, almost as if the directors knew here that Chuck Norris was best doing the action man stuff and they had to have other actors fill the void in terms of more dialogue. And this is where perhaps Invasion USA falls down slightly. It runs at around 106 minutes, and I think it tends to drag at certain points. There are certain times you could cut out parts of the story when we concentrate much more on the media fallout and the impact of the civilians, which is a certain, to an extent, a good story builder, but it gets in the way of the pace and the momentum that the movie should have. But as I said, this is sheer entertainment value, reminiscent of many Friday nights when you just wanted to sit back and go into a film that wasn't too demanding in terms of plot or story, clear-cut hero versus villain, lots of action, and plenty of entertainment to keep you thoroughly enjoyed throughout a short running time. And Invasion USA, once more, is very much an embodiment of that. And whilst I would probably put it a little bit lower than Norris's earlier efforts, such as Missing in Action or later on the Delta Force, Invasion USA is still everything you could ask for if you're a major fan of that movie genre growing up within the 80s. All the action and testosterone that you could be asking for, and explosiveness. And as a movie, it executes exactly what it sets out to do. Now, the movie itself was a decent box office success, grossing over 27 million of a budget of around 12 million. Again, nothing huge in terms of box office grosses, but once more providing a small amount of profit that kept Chuck Norris chugging along nicely throughout the middle to the later stages of the 1980s. So there's some thoughts and feelings when looking back at Invasion USA. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you have any further movies, television series, or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then also let me know within the comments, and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.